Hey, what's up, guys? So I've been experimenting a little bit with Dragon Link since Ghost from the Past came out, and I think I've come up with a pretty unique kind of variant that helps kind of cover its bases a little bit more than than it already has. It's not weak to much, and in my honest opinion, it is the best deck of the format. It just requires a very skilled player with high knowledge of both the deck and the metagame. um, but yeah, so I'm gonna go through some of these choices here. Obviously, some people are just staring at this like, what the hell am I looking at? So we're gonna go through a little bit. I'm gonna kind of explain my reasonings behind some of these cards. This is kind of more of a template. I cut this down to 40 cards, and I've been experimenting in remote duels with it. I think I'm gonna have to expand it. Number one, because I want to play more Nocto, and I 100% need to play at least two tidying. I think three is a little bricky, so I think two's perfect, but I'm gonna have to find a way to fit it in here without kind of hurting the consistency of the deck a little bit. So let's get started here. Three Tracer, three Safer, two Black Metal, and one Chamber for your starters. Some of these, well, most of them are pretty much pseudo starters, but these are the ones you want to obviously be normal summoning to get your combos going. And the way that this works is you're only normal summoning these generally after you've gone for the Crystal Wing combo, if you have the ability to do that first. So you're going to be discarding like more of your extenders off the ravine if you're able to do it, and then you're making the Crystal Wing, and you're going to be normal summoning these and basically doing the full combo from there. Um, I was watching, I think it was Tom Box. He was doing a video about, I think it was like an extravaganza deck list, and the guy said like eight or nine starters is like perfect, especially for a 40 card deck, and I 100% agree. Especially with these being like pseudo starters slash like extenders. Um, Even if you see a little bit too many, they're still really good as extenders if you're able to bring them out in certain ways. I think nine is perfect. I think I'd rather see black metal more than chamber, because getting the red MD just makes your combos go even more explosive. But obviously, if you want to play multiple chamber, you can do that too. And then obviously three tracer, you want to see that this in your hand as quickly as possible, as consistently as possible. So maxing this out is 100% the play. And then for extenders here, we've got the red MD, absolutely still incredibly insane. One black, one white dragon, one recharger, two synchron, and one absor router. You can kind of flip flop these ratios if you want. I'm going to start experimenting with two recharger because its effect is actually pretty relevant, especially if you're going into like turn three and they start popping more of your stuff. You can use this to start like just bringing stuff out of the grave that you normally wouldn't be able to, because all you have to do is bring out one dark monster from your graveyard with a different one than what was popped. So like if they hit like a striker, or they start hitting like an LP or Pisty, or they get your Boral Sword off the field or something like that, you bring this into the grave, and 9 times out of 10 you probably got like this in the grave, which is just absolutely insane. And then you just kind of continue combo from there and walk up to whatever you need to win the game from there. And then for the rest of the extenders, like I said, I'm trying to fit this to three somehow, with leaving this as close to 40 as possible. So it's still kind of a work in progress. I think in the same Tom Box video, the dude said Nocto's a one of or a three of, and he always wanted to see it in his hand. And I think I agree. It's like the same reasoning as Tracer. You want to see it in your hand as quickly as possible, as early as possible, and whatnot. So I'm gonna try to put three in here in some capacity. Maybe if it's a 42 card variant or something along the lines of that. But Nocto Vision is just absolutely insane. You can also say, if you got Safer in the hand, you can pitch Absa Router, put this in your hand for free, and then link off and then kind of go that way. Like there's a lot of different lines of play where this deck just randomly synergizes with each other. So, like I said, I'm gonna try to up this to three at some point. And then one Brotar, one Levy. I'll explain a little bit here later on. Some of you can already see why, but I personally kind of don't like Brotar. And once we get to the card, I'll kind of explain a little bit. Going forward, I think I'm gonna cut this and just kind of try it out without playing it. But honestly, this card is really good, and if you want to leave it in, I completely understand. And then for the Dragunity stuff, 3 Remus. 1 is nowhere near enough. 2, why are you not playing 3? And I think 3 is 100% the play here. Even if you see multiples in your hand, it's 100% perfectly fine. But yeah, maxing this out is 100% the play. The one Legatus, which you add off the Ravine, and then the Baby Rock, which you add off of the Gators if you don't already have it in your hand. This gets extended out because it doesn't miss timing, because the resolution is to discard it, and so it's a when you can. So since it's the last part of the effect, it just comes out for free if you want to use it, and then it just makes the Crystal Wing. Um, and then for the last monster, it's 3 Lancia. It's the best hand trap against like dinos while providing the most consistency in your deck. Playing really anything else is kind of a hit or miss. This thing synergizes with Chaos Space really well. It synergizes with like just the Chaos stuff that you have in general. And it's honestly like a really, really good card for the metagame. It is kind of 50-50 in the mirror. Like if they can extend with their hand without using white and black, like it's kind of just a dead hand trap. But at the same time, this card's still really good for the overall metagame, so I personally prefer it. And then we've got 1 Boot Sector launch and 2 Dragon Ravine. And the reason why I'm playing 2 is because if you don't open Remus, you need to add it first off the first Ravine. Then you discard this to add a Ravine. Then you use the second Ravine to add the Legatus. It like so that's the reason why I don't like Brotar so much, is you're already discarding 2, and discarding a third honestly really like it's really rough. So like I said, going forward, I think I'm gonna cut Brotar, and even half the time I'm already extending with Chamber because I'm only playing 1 and I don't really see it in my hand. So Chamber is honestly the better extender, and you're already discarding 2 before you're even making like Brotar plays anyway. So yeah, it is. It kind of just is what it is. And then we've got the 3 Chaos Space, 3 Quick Launch, 3 Guard Dragon. Please, why does this card exist, and why does this card exist in the metagame? Just basically having 6 Tracers in your deck at any time, literally 7, is just absolutely insane, and something's got to be done about it. And then for the 40th card, Tidying. Like I said with Nocto, I need to be upping this count at some point. So two's perfect. Three's a little too bricky for this variant, because beyond like the Remus play, you need a normal summon or you need some way to extend, and this just doesn't do it. But if you open this card and you need to discard it with like the Ravine, then your chamber is just kind of useless because you're trying to add this to begin with. But it is what it is. I'll find room. It's probably just going to be a 43 card variant at the end of the day, but we'll see. And then side deck is just flavor stuff, depending on if you're playing Sims or if you're playing in real life or you're doing remote duels. It's whatever you want it to be. I do have a couple suggestions though. Number one, if you're playing spell and trap removal, I would not play Twin Twisters for the same reason that I don't like Brotar, where you're already discarding 2 to begin with, and discarding a third really sucks. And then this card's just really funny. If you have it, I would just kind of mess around with it, because like doubling your life points against someone who's trying to burn you, or whose combo takes just as long as yours, is honestly really funny. And if you're that close to time anyway, and this doesn't brick your hand, well, number one, you're already like drawing like a 6 card anyway, and number two, like the amount of consistency this deck already has is insane. But you basically just increase your life points to a point that they can't do anything about it, and then if they decide to pass turn to you, like, like basically this is just like a like time rule max C where it's just insane. You go, you combo to the point where you go into time anyway because your combo just takes forever. So I think this card's really funny, and I think it's niche, but it's really really good. But yeah, and then just the dark rulers. This can be whatever you want. Evenly matched. I just had this in my binder, and I saw it, and I'm like, whatever. I'll just make this my 13th, 14th, 15th card. Why not? You can play Nibiru's. I but again, like I said, this is 100% flavor stuff, so you kind of do this however you want. And then moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck is actually like even tighter than the main deck, and I'll kind of explain my reasons as to why. Three striker, I think three is necessary. There's a lot of times where you're kind of grinding into turns like three, like your turn three and sometimes four, where having the third striker is like honestly necessary. So cutting it to two, I honestly wouldn't do. And then one Pisty, one LP, only one Seal, one Romulus, one of a card that no one's ever heard before, one Quad Burl, and one Burl Sword. Galaxy Satellite Dragon. There's three main reasons why I'm playing this card. Number one, diagonal arrows. So it's Seal and it's Romulus, so like you don't have to start like trying to weirdly manipulate zones with like a guard dragon or trying to find some convoluted way. Like if you were playing Dill or something like that, and you needed to find like wonky ways to move your zones so you could like use your LP and Pisty effects. And then quad bore or the second reason is that it's dark. And the reason why that's relevant is because if you are forced to shotgun your tracer earlier than you should be, whether you're inexperienced, you're still learning the deck, or whether you're going up against someone who understands that that really hurts you and they kind of walk you into that, you're locked into darks, and this is a dark, so it's kind of like a backup plan. Like you're like, oh crap, I can't make Seal and Romulus. I'll just make this and kind of extend from there. So like it's a really really good backup option. I'm gonna live and die by this card for those two reasons, and the third one, this effect is 100% meaningless because you don't play number exceeds, but its third effect is honestly incredibly insane. During your opponent's end phase, you're literally just allowed to stack your deck if they don't negate this or get it off the field. So you force your opponent to either deal with it or basically like you're putting this in your hand and you're just extending out of your graveyard for free. Or if you haven't used like this package at all, or you haven't added this, or something like that, it gets you whatever you want, but literally for free just by leaving this on the field for a turn. And if your opponent doesn't deal with it, so I like it. I'm gonna live and die by it. But it's just a card you can cut if you really need the space for something else. Quad Boral, I'm going to go into a little bit of a combo video, probably today or tomorrow, or maybe the day after, depending on my schedule, and explain why this card is absolutely 100% necessary and why it's not actually a flavor card, especially for this variant. Because there's some very specific combos where you're trying to maximize your board and your field, so your opponent just can't do anything about it. So this is 100% necessary. And then Boral Sword, obviously for OTK reasons. And then moving on to your synchros, the Gators, the Crystal Wing, the Boral Sword, Chaos Ruler, and the Hot Red. Um, so one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck is literally going up against someone like Dino or someone who just literally just blinged out their deck for no reason, and you walk face first in like a Dark Ruler plus Lightning Storm. So I would say I would 100% leave this in attack position. Um, Number one, just because you want some certain stuff in an attack position, and number two, this actually has relevant effects about your attack, so it's probably going to be boosted anyway. Um, and then I would leave this, and sometimes this, depending on how aggressive you want to be in defense. It just all depends on if you're afraid of if you're going to see a Dark Ruler no more. I'm 100% just leaving this in defense, and probably sometimes this just depending on my opponent and the situation. You do kind of want to be just wary of what your opponent can potentially do at any given moment and kind of how to prepare for it. Now, the reason why I'm playing this variant is the way that this deck works is you want to see this card as fast as possible, and if not, your backup option is literally Romulus into Dragon Ravine, which is why you're discarding two because you're adding this first. The whole point is to go Crystal Wing without using like your normal summon and without maximizing your extensions. And the reason why is because Nibiru really, really hurts this deck, and it really hurts if someone knows how to Nibiru and when to Nibiru. So you're trying to put this on the board, and if you open Remus and you don't summon anything to get to like the ravine or anything like that, or you don't use your starters or whatnot, you make this on your fifth summon, and it just turns their Nibiru off. So it forces them to use other hand traps, or they just kind of have a dead Nibiru in their hands. So, like I said, that's why I'm kind of going for this variant. It covers its biggest weakness, which is Nibiru or your opponent holding their hand traps for the more relevant effects, because the Dragon Link variant that's played now, you Nibiru so late into their combo to the point that it's almost impossible, if not literally impossible, to recover. And this just makes sure it provides a check to the Nibiru. It's very similar to the first COVID format that we had. If anyone remembers when Linkross came out and that dumb card and how it literally extended into a Herald, forcing the early Nibiru, it's in a very similar vein where you're forcing the hand trap as early as possible. And if it comes out, it comes out, and you have free extensions. And if it doesn't come out, then you can literally do whatever you want. You can just spit your whole deck onto the field for free. So yeah, that's pretty much just the reason why I'm playing this variant. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's stupid consistent because I'm only playing 3 hand traps. I'm not playing a lot of just bricks in general. Um, but yeah, I would test it out if you guys want to. Like I said, this is kind of a template. I am going to be experimenting with this for a while just to kind of see like what the best way to make this deck is. But yeah, like I said, I'll be posting that combo video probably later this afternoon, if not probably sometime late tomorrow, depending. But yeah, thanks for checking this list out, guys. I'll see you later.